Hi, I'm Jordan Peele. Now, there are a lot of theories and wild conspiracy ideas floating around the internet about Get Out, so let's dive in. Okay. Embersill asks, or says, the movie Get Out is an imagined scenario of Rod, the TSA agent. When Chris is telling Rod he is meeting his white girlfriend's family, the story becomes an elaborate theory from Rod about what will happen if Chris meets a white family. This is shown by the increasingly eccentric, unrealistic plot, and Rod making himself the hero at the end of the story. I love this theory. It is 100% false. The Get Out is not some kind of daydream fantasy of Rod, the TSA agent character. It really happened. That fucked up brain surgery stuff really did happen. At Inbox Pulse, when all the guests arrive, the groundskeeper and Georgina greet them out of their cars. Rarely would a housekeeper greet guests, but because they are the grandparents, it is their party they were greeting. Absolutely true. You see when all the old white people come to the show up at the party, Walter is giving them a hug and everything. They're old friends. And all the guests arrived in black cars. Nothing was by accident. There you go. That's right. They all arrived in black cars. Like the black bodies are going to ride away in. Forgive me if this has already been mentioned, but the scene on the porch where Jeremy's playing the ukulele struck me as interesting. The tune he was playing was part of the jig. I don't know how you say that word, from Violin Paratita No. 2 in G minor by J.S. Bach. It was being played much slower than normally played on the instrument, which one might consider inferior to or beneath the violin. In effect, the end of the tune indicated to Chris that the jig was up. That's what I got from it, at least. Man, the power of marijuana. I literally told Caleb, the actor who plays Jeremy, just play anything on the thing. He doesn't know the jig. He's not whipping out Bach on this thing. He's just playing a random song. I just realized that the reason the groundskeeper, Grandpa, runs so much is because the Grandpa wanted to have a fast black body because he lost it to Jesse Owens. That's right. Yeah, I always had this idea that Grandpa, who's in Walter's body, is running because he's trying to beat Jesse's time. But there was a line that I almost put in the movie, but I decided not to because I thought it would be a little too over the top when Grandpa in Walter's body is hovering over Chris's body at the end. He was at one point going to say, I finally beat you, Jesse! Too over the top. I'm no movie aficionado. Okay, well then. But at the beginning of the movie, he watches the deer struggle and ultimately die. Then later, when he's strapped to the chair, the deer head watches him struggle, but he ultimately lives. This has to mean something, right? Hits blunt. Yep, blunt hits. This is what it sounds like you're doing over there. That's right. There's a whole parallel between the deer and Chris, and of course Chris's mother, the suppressed memory of his mother dying after being hit by the car. The whole deer metaphor goes in so many different directions and has many different meanings. The buck, of course, is the animal that Chris uses in the end to kill Dean, the patriarch of the Armitage family. Yeah, that's the whole deer metaphor. Okay, I'm late to this thread, but I noticed that they were obsessed with him kicking his smoking habit because he was poisoning his body.
Do you realize how dangerous smoking is?
That's right. Smoking does poison your body, and they are looking for perfect vessels. Kylornamos. Eating Fruit Loops and milk separately. Won't mix white with colors. I've had a lot of people say this to me. The Fruit Loops and the milk are definitely representational of a colorful food and a white food. But it's just more that she's kind of like this really twisted girl who's got this sort of method. Ultimately, the plan of the Armitage is to mix. Partial credit. Kyla Menords. Anyone else like how, in the beginning, Rose said that her dad won't chase Chris out of the house with a shotgun, but at the end she did? Yeah, so that was definitely on purpose. I almost had Chris say the line, I don't want to get chased off the lawn with a rifle, but then no one says that. I had to make it shotgun. I'm glad you got that. At Bonnie Lynette. When Rod was outside the airport trying to call Chris, there was an announcement in the background for Flight 237.
Flight 237.
Number reference a lot in a lot of movies. Originated as the most haunted room in The Shining. That's right. That's what we call a little Easter egg for the Kubrick fans. Really easy one to do. We just like, Flight 237, and somehow get credit for it. My voice is used in the film twice. I do the sound of the dying deer. I think people didn't know that was me. And I also did the United Negro College Fund.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
At the Taco Bell Vampire. Anyone think it was intentional that he was freed by picking cotton? Yeah, we had a special arm of the chair made with cotton stuffed into it, so we could have the grand irony of him being freed by cotton. You get it. This movie is worth seeing in the theater for audience reactions alone. The writing had so many subtle hints.
That's the basement. We had to seal it up. Some black mold down there.
Black people's bodies are used as molds, a hollow shell for white people to use. Black mold. Yeah, I meant that. That's what I meant when I did that. But in regards to Jeremy and Chris's discussion about MMA, Jeremy scoffed at Chris taking judo lessons as a kid and explained that jiu-jitsu is better. Why? Because it's like chess. You have to think 3 steps ahead. So fast forward to their fight in front of the doorway. He notices as soon as he gets the door open, Jeremy kicks it shut every time. So Chris thinks 3 steps ahead, tries one last time to open the door, knowing that if he does, then Jeremy will stick his leg out where Chris is able to stab it. Just thought that was a really straight callback to the dinner conversation. Thank you very much. That was on purpose, the idea that Chris doesn't just outmuscle Jeremy, he outsmarts him at his own game. He does not make the distinction of jiu-jitsu versus judo, because judo is also an art form where you have to think 2-3 moves ahead. He just goes into why he likes jiu-jitsu. At Dolph Lundgren's penis. Something I thought was really interesting was when Rose back-talked to the cop about Chris giving him his ID. She wasn't really doing it to stand up for him.
Wait, why?
Yeah, I have state ID.
No. He wasn't driving.
This paper trail of them being together and on the way to her parents. This movie was so great. Thank you. If you've only seen the movie once, you have to see it again and just watch Rose, because everything she does has a different meaning, obviously. At post_analytical. Get Out is a sequel to Being John Malkovich. Being John Malkovich and Get Out occur in the same universe, 20 years apart. Catherine Keener and her characters are the bridge that connects these two films. BJM ends with what appears to be a happy ending for Maxine and Lot, who are raising a daughter fathered by John Malkovich together. Unbeknownst to them, Craig is trapped within the mind of their daughter, unable to control her like he could with her father. Lottie could have been one of the first attempts at the brain transplant. In Get Out, it is implied that the surgery is not always successful. To avoid suspicion, Maxine, the elder's neurosurgeons, would craft new identities as a liberal family living out in the woods. Wow. I love this theory. I have heard this theory. It was definitely not lost on me that I was able to get Catherine Keener in her second weird perspective living in someone else's brain movie. We joked about that. And I'm a huge fan of the movie Being John Malkovich. I also sat down with Spike Jonze a couple months ago, told him this theory myself, and he chuckled. So as far as I'm concerned, it's true. So I take it the skinny black guy at the party wore that hat to cover up any scars from his brain transplantation. Not the most elegant tone. Skinny black guy? Okay. Yes, so at the end of the movie, of course, it's revealed that several of the characters are post-operation. Georgina, Walter, and Logan, or Andre, who all wear hats or a wig. Thank you for this. These are very good thoughts. Some of y'all are crazy. I honestly never thought people would pick up on this stuff so fast, and I'm inspired to bring more.